Hey guys, it's WhytManga here with a new video. And in this video, you guys are going to be seeing me live figuring out how I'm going to panel a pre-existing story. The task, you can think of it as a class assignment. So you're going to see me live make the decisions that I usually make from script, figuring out the words, the dialogue, the narration, and then figuring out the storyboards from there. The difference now being this task or assignment was an assignment assigned after I took an online course. As most of you know, when it comes to things that are related to comics, for the most part, I'm self-taught. My main resource or source to get information was the internet. So basically I learned everything, not everything, but most of the things that I already know, that I know now, I learned on my own from the internet. But every source was online. And you guys can do the same. And technically that's what you're doing now by watching my video. And I thank you for that. But now there's a site called Skillshare that houses all this kinds of information and more that can cater to your needs. The difference now being that the sources on Skillshare are way more credible. Back in the day, in the Wild West, anything I found online, I just found it online randomly. I didn't know if it was credible or not. I was just soaking in as much as I could. But now with Skillshare, it's a little more direct and focused to where you know for a fact that you're learning whatever you want to learn from credible sources. Some of them teachers, or some of them from industries that you're trying to break into. Back when I searched for information and did research that I needed to do to learn how to do comics and all the stuff that I know from an artistic standpoint, it was really difficult to find the right source. It was difficult to find exactly what I was looking for, but with Skillshare, the library is designed for you. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, and I was approached to use the site and kind of give off my experience using the site to you guys and spread the word about the website that I highly recommend. So you guys can browse for free at www.skillshare.com and check out all the good tutorials and online classes that it has to offer. It's more than just art. There's all sorts of stuff, even things regarding music. But if art is all you're looking for, Skillshare has over 15,000 classes. Premium membership begins around $10 a month for unlimited access to learning. Things ranging from character design to drawing, illustration, comic creation, writing, even down to the itty-gritty stuff when it comes to like hatching and drawing tools, from credible people telling you what to do and what not to do. Skillshare allows you to take a class, try a project, or even teach. But don't forget to click the link in the description for a 2-month free trial with the promo code WhytManga2. You're welcome. I'm already enrolled in several classes. There's an app for Skillshare, and this is way cheaper than formal education for the same information. So here in this video, the assignment I'm doing in front of you guys is from a class I took by Constanza Jovaninez, hopefully I pronounced that right, and she is a comic artist herself. In her class, Storytelling with Pictures, an introduction to comics, she talks about moments to show, when to show them, angles to shoot from, adding dialogue, visualizing key moments in a page, how clarity is key and you sometimes give the readers gaps to fill in between panels, experimenting with storyboards, deciding what exactly to show and how you want the reader to feel, while giving valuable tips in visual storytelling techniques along the way. Giving text tips, adding fonts, and things like having it not be too wordy, having it be clear to follow when you need to break into parts, the shape of the text bubble or word bubble, how you want it to be, whether it be with edges like a character is screaming, or subtle like a thought, whisper, scream, and all that stuff. It talks about lettering, handwritings, and the differences between them, figuring out clear layouts, when to show like a cliffhanger or a twist, or when appropriate, and overall how to plan your comic. So that's a class that I highly recommend, and the link to the class directly I'll leave in the description as well. And for this class I chose to adapt Adam and Eve. Try to make it light, a little more comical, and I'm just going to have fun with it. And throughout the video I'll be giving my own thoughts, as well as echoing some of the valuable tips that she gave in her video. Here you'll see me come up with a script, and a storyboard, and this character design as well. In fact, that'll be the first thing we do. So first thing done, just like Constanza did in her online class, is you want to have a good idea of what the character looks like. And in this case, very early in the stage for this Adam and Eve adaptation I'm doing here, I didn't really know that I was going to add a third character along the way, which is going to be the serpent. But for now, I just had a good idea of what they were going to look like. It was easy because they're basically naked, so I didn't have to think too hard for that. Here I'm just putting the pages together. I'm not too sure how many pages it's going to be, but I'm trying to keep it at like maybe 4 pages So I keep that in mind. That certain constraint can allow for some creative ideas when it comes to paneling the pages. But even though I put an establishing shot there and I put a bubble, and that's basically going to be, the word bubble is basically just going to be Adam screaming at Eve, because the moment I've chosen in this story is Adam. Here it's kind of different, but here Adam is about, like, he's seeing Eve about to eat the apple from the forbidden tree. So I'm putting together the script. Now the script is also going to help me decide how I want the panels to look, the camera angles I want to choose from for like a visual storytelling technique standpoint. Figure out the dialogue so I know what kind of emotion and power, how the size of the panels I want to put together. Basically, the script and narration of the dialogue or monologue can help decide how you want the panels to be put together and how you want the story to be told. It also helps you be clear in the story you want to tell. So here I'm figuring out the dialogue, putting that together, and then once I figure that out, I kind of cut it into pages. I want to build, the first 2 pages are to you're kind of building tension to make the reader flip the page. So when they flip the page, I want to kind of have like a reveal there. So there will be a 3rd page with a reveal, whatever the reveal is. In this case, I'm already thinking maybe the reveal would be, or the big key moment would be Eve actually biting the apple. But here, as you can see in this first panel, I'm giving a decent amount. We have no figures in the first panel, the establishing shot. The establishing shot basically just establishes where the characters are in that scene. But all you see is a word balloon, and it's like a screaming word balloon of Adam kind of screaming at Eve. And then the second panel then goes into more detail, kind of dives into that scene more. And you can see him from an angle, and she's kind of far away, he's not too close, and you can see the snake I decided to put in there. And they're discussing and going back and forth about why she's even holding the apple, why she's even here. And that's what I'm kind of putting together in the script. Everything they kind of come out exactly as I hoped, because I'm kind of doing this on the fly, live with you guys. But we have that, and the second panel was kind of like going back in an aerial view, kind of giving readers a clearer view of where they are and where they're standing. Because the first one is kind of like the camera's looking from like an ant's view perspective, looking at the sky, and then you can see some trees, just to give that vibe of like, oh, they're at a garden, the Garden of Eden. And here, the third panel, the third row for page 1, you can kind of see all the characters discussing, and the snake right there, and that's like more of a formal introduction for the snake. So I'm making sure that people get to see what the snake looks like full on, and for the first time, and giving the serpent some dialogue, as Eve is kind of saying that the snake said it was okay or something like that. I'm trying to make everything a little comical. So in the next page, that's where the tension really builds, and you can see that I've chosen to draw Eve. In the first panel, you don't get to see her eyes as she's holding the apple. You don't get to see her eyes, which kind of builds some sense of mystery. What she's thinking, what is she thinking about? So, and you have like Adam in the background kind of mentioning her name, like, Eve, what are you thinking, what are you about to do? And then the second panel is kind of like anti-view of her holding the apple, and you see her, and I also make the shading kind of evoke some kind of emotion. And you have the snake from behind her in like a shadow, giving the snake a mysterious vibe, almost telling her to do it. And then the panel under them again is basically Adam kind of letting her know not to do it. And then finally the last panel there, I'm giving the kind of, is almost like if you see from panel 2 in page 2 down to the last panel, almost feels like we're zooming in to Eve from an anti view, kind of building tension to what she's going to do. And there's some dialogue there kind of helping me decide what I'm going to do. And then the third page, when you flip it for the actual action, I'm going to give that panel, is going to be huge, it's going to be big, because this is a big deal where she actually takes a bite, right? And in fact, that occupied the whole panel. That's what the whole panel was for. So I made when it comes to paneling, sometimes there's like hierarchy involved, and the bigger the panel, kind of you're mentally kind of saying that the more important it is. But sometimes just because a panel is small doesn't mean that it's not important or it doesn't do anything. In one of Constance's videos where she talks about how there's like very narrow kind of panel, and that could give a sense of confinement. And she kind of goes into detail about that kind of stuff. And as you can see here, where I'm having the camera from an anti-view perspective, that can sometimes give characters a sense of authority, making them feel bigger, and you, the viewer, looking up to them. Even though here it's used differently, right? Here we're kind of using it to look into her eyes as she's staring at this apple, and as panels go by, it's almost like we're zooming in. And she kind of gives in the video, her online class also, you know, goes into more detail with that kind of stuff. And even some cases where you have panels given an animated feel similar to some scenes in One Punch Man. For those who are familiar with One Punch Man, you know what I'm talking about. So here back, we see her, she takes a bite. Now I'm drawing a panel of people's like reactions to it, because it's a big deal. So I have one of Adam and some dialogue there, and then back to her as the snake is asking her how she feels, and we don't get to see her. I make sure I'm hiding most of her face, again building mystery, right? And then the next panel is then going to show her reaction. And you know, I thought of this whole thing really on the fly. So there was kind of like a joke here, where the key joke, or what I was trying to get across, was she eats the apple, and a little joke with snakes in that she takes this apple and she got convinced by this big snake to bite the apple, and then she bites the apple, and really, you know, that's when they realize, oh, they're naked and all that. And the first thing she realizes is that Adam's snake is small. So that's the joke. That's the joke I'm trying to get across. For those who understood the joke, kudos to you. It's pretty straightforward. But then, you know, now I'm trying to figure out the best way possible to convey that, and how to end the series and how to put that together. So one thing that happened while I was putting this together is sometimes you have a script that's influencing what you do in the storyboards, but there are some times where, as I was drawing the storyboards, it was making me go back to the script to change certain things, because you can be getting ideas, because this is a storyboard phase, right? You're experimenting, you're trying out new stuff. Nothing is set in stone until the book is really, until you're actually doing the page itself. So here I'm figuring out the page, so a lot of stuff is subject to change, so both things are influencing itself. Constanza, in her tutorial, she doesn't really do dialogue, narration or dialogue or script stuff. She kind of goes into storyboard mode as well. So there isn't one way to do things, right? You just need to find what works for you, and you put that out. So here what happens is she realizes it's small, and she thinks, oh, she's gonna find a new man, basically. And the snake is like, oh, that was cold. And part of the joke is that Adam really still doesn't know what she's talking about, because he hasn't taken a bite yet, and he's like, what's wrong with it, you know, and stuff like that. And that's how it ends. That's how I end it. So in Constanza's video, in her online class, she goes in detail what to show, what not to show. And here I chose to focus on a specific part of the story where Eve takes a bite from the apple. And here and now I'm deciding what to show and what not to show based off of the script I've put together. And I will be answering every question in the description for those who stay notified to the channel, to make sure they're notified each time I upload a video. That said, for those who haven't, please hit the bell so you stay notified when I upload a video, and I'm going to be answering questions in the comment section for the first couple hours. But yeah, please subscribe, please like the video, leave a comment if you have any questions, check out Skillshare, make sure you use the link in the description so you get the free trial. This was fun to put together, and I fooled around with my style a little bit. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's WhytManga, and I'm out.